So I want to go off a little bit more on that, and we're going to conclude this almost 2-hour monologue, is that we have that bifurcation of the feral diet and the meat-eating diet, which is looking to the past. And we have a diet that is really looking to the future. And I'm saying, well, how does it solve the problems? And you can take different European studies, and they all say, for the survival of the planet, we have to get away from animal agriculture. Newest research by World Watch is saying 50% of the global warming is caused by animal agriculture. Not 18%, which is what we had a few years ago, 50%. We look at food shortages, which are going to get worse. And I did mention there's food, but not enough. If you go to a plant source only diet, we'll be able to feed this population 7 to 12 times over. But we don't even stretch it now. 7 to 12 times over. That's amazing with the plant source only diet. Our planetary degradation will decrease amazingly. Earth, air, water are all seriously disrupted. Now you can make an exception. Well, if you're doing your little home cow, you don't make an impact. But we're not talking about that exception. See, the exceptions really don't make the rule. You got to look at the planet and what's going on the planet. So the vegetarian diet, vegan diet, and the plant source only diet leads us towards a significant chance to repair and heal the planet, and to bring the whole planet along with us. Now, as I go a little further into that question, I'm going to make a distinction now where the vegans aren't quite right on, because there's 3 levels. You have moral and ethical, and that's more the vegan world. But that's still intellectual. Okay? And I look, and I did some research on Donald Watson, who created veganism. And I want to point out that Watson clearly made the statement that he is an agnostic. And he clearly made some interesting statements where he understood about civilization, but from an agnostic intellectual point of view, and that's where it stops, is that we can quite plainly see that our present civilization is built on the exploitation of animals, just as past civilization was on the exploitation of slaves, and I'm also going to say women here. We believe that spiritual destiny of humanity is such that in time he will view with abhorrence the idea that men once fed on the products of animal bodies. That's kind of where he was coming from. And what he says is, we can hardly be classified as moral giants. This is the first thing, 1944, from his newspaper. Okay? Because we choose to live on a diet that obviously favors self-preservation. 1944, a war is going on. And he says, we agree that the present is not the easiest time to make such a change. But we think that in laying the foundations of our movement now, many will soon join us as one of their peace aims. Now, what's my point? My point is, what's missing from the vegan world, is the spiritual aspect, which is the God-centered point. And it's way beyond ahimsa. A spiritual viewpoint takes us to a much broader understanding. And you're doing it not because intellectually it's a good idea, because intellect can be off. And I want to say that, Bill Tuttle got a little off when he started. It's all about exploitation of animals. Well, you got to stop it. Even if you have pets, you need to let not have pets. And it goes on that. And I think it crosses the line. And I want to say that many of the vegan advocates, particularly the yoginis, all have cats. And that includes my wife and her teacher, and a major vegan person in yogi in New York. It's like, are you telling them they're not vegans because of that? Well, maybe they aren't vegans, because that's intellectual. I want to say that what I'm talking about is spiritual, and I'm talking about the feeling of oneness. And I look at the Torah tradition. It says the breath of God was blown into all the animals and the humans, and therefore we're all one. very different way of thinking than an intellectual piece. We work together with the animal world. Different than with the vegan intellectual thing is anything with animals, you're exploiting them. I think there's a problem there. Taken to extreme is a big problem. Animal agriculture steals the soil, steals the air, steals the water, steals the life force, steals the life force of the animals, steals the life of the animals, steals the soul of the animals. Stealing. Spiritual point of view, it's beyond, and ahimsa can be said for all these, but we're going to be specific. So the Torah is saying, don't do that. Thou shalt not murder. That's ahimsa, and obviously, as Isaiah says, he who kills an ox is as if he slays a man. That's compassion, and we know that's part of this way, but I'm not talking compassion as an intellectual thing. I'm talking about is a God-centered experience. Now, what about satya? Thou shalt not lie. We see a tremendous denial. When I pointed out the denial that the meat eaters have been doing, and I'm going to point out the denial the vegans are doing to try to make their theories fit. And basically, when you say mercury in fish is okay, protein is not damaged when it's cooked, vegetarians lose libido, which I want to say live fooders do not lose their libido. That's totally nonsense. We're creating a satya. Geneve dot. And, you know, animal agriculture has created a world non-denial, a denial by factory farming, cruelty to animals, and how we've turned into the soulless beings. So this is totally against the Torah teaching, totally against the teaching of Genesis. So I want to say bigger picture. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Well, actually, the Hebrew of that is thou shalt not commit sexual perversion. And when you are raping the cows so they're continually pregnant, and raping the chickens so they're continually laying eggs, you're creating a sexual perversion. When you're getting sperm from the male, from the bulls, you know, by hand, it's a sexual perversion. This is how they get sperm, just so you know that. It didn't come out of the air, okay? So we're looking at the sexual perversion, and that's also what we call a brahmacharya. So again, we're talking bigger principles that does it. And thou shalt not covet. Graha, greediness, a meat-centered diet is stealing the resources of the planet. And we look at the Torah, we say, hey, protect your body. Protect humanity. Feed the poor. Okay? Protect the ecology. These are all teachings that come right out of Genesis, okay? These are Jewish, Christian traditions that we, you know, it's a bigger than just compassion. Of course, compassion includes the whole thing, but it's a bigger picture. And the biggest thing, and this is where we're going to kind of conclude, is that truly what we're looking at is that the plant source only diet is the diet, a blueprint of spiritual liberation. It's the diet to repair the planet, to repair humanity, to repair our civilization. It's the diet of the present that will take us into the future, and from my point of view, into the Messianic times. May everybody be blessed with this understanding. May everybody understand the meaning now of whole person enlightenment. It's the enlightenment of the whole planet. It's the repair of the whole planet. And this is the diet of the future. Now. Shalom, 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 shanti, shanti, shanti.